Hey, Nashvillians. Welcome to the You Matter Nashville podcast, the place where every story we share is a celebration of you, the heartbeat of our community. I'm Jason Hoover, delighted to be one half of your hosting duo.
And I'm Mindy Hoover, joining you alongside Jason to bring you the stories of inspiring individuals and unsung heroes making a positive impact right here in our hometown.
Every episode is about passions, dreams, and actions that stitch together the Middle Tennessee community.
So if you're looking to get inspired by the good happening around us, or if you want to hear from the change makers who believe, just like us, that you matter, then hit that follow button on your favorite podcast platform.
And if you are looking to make a move in the Middle Tennessee area, Mindy and I are real estate professionals and would be honored to serve you with excellence.
Now, let's dive into another episode of You Matter Nashville.
Welcome to You Matter Nashville, the show where we celebrate the individuals and organizations that are making a positive impact in our community. I'm Jason Hoover.
And I'm Mindy Hoover, and today we're honored to have Chris and Elaine Whitney from OneGenAway with us. OneGenAway is known for its mission to eliminate hunger and strengthen communities by making fresh, nutritious foods accessible to everyone. They do this through mobile food pantries, partnerships, and community-centric approach.
Chris and Elaine believe that by working together, we can build a brighter future that will break down those barriers and where nobody will go hungry. It's a vision deeply rooted in compassion and the idea that we are only one generation away from a better world.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us today. And it's truly an honor to have you here and for us to learn more about all the incredible work you're doing.
Thank you for having us. Yeah, it's a privilege to be on. We're really, really humbled and grateful. Thank you.
Well, thank you. All right. So to get us started, would you guys mind sharing a bit about what inspired you to create OneGenAway and maybe even some of those first steps and what they look like?
Yeah. So we've been in Franklin, Tennessee, 20 and a half years now. So we moved here actually to start a church of all things. And we moved from St. Louis, Missouri. Elaine's from Greenville, Mississippi, where we got married just over 38 years ago. And so we had this vision of planting a church. We did not know a soul, had no financial support, started a church with nothing. So
we always say that it's not the brightest move, but we were obedient.
Yes, that was it. Yes.
That's what we can say.
Yes, yeah.
We're going to use that.
Yeah, no, it's Dave. Right, there's no patent on that. You're good. You're good. So we, after we got here, we started the church, and I had an insurance business, so I was commuting back and forth to St. Louis to kind of pay the bills because we didn't have any money.
Oh, wow.
To fund church. So we did that. And one day, so Elaine was a stay-at-home mom for about 17, 18 years.
18 years, yeah.
And when we moved here, she went to work for the first time at Mid-Cumberland Community Action Agency. So they're based in all the counties that touch Davidson. So she worked at the Franklin location. And this guy delivered bread once a week. And one day he just said, hey, we could have this truckload of food delivered to a parking lot. And so she said, I'll go home and tell my husband. So I was on a Cinco de Mayo committee with La Casa de Mi Padre in downtown Franklin, does Cinco de Mayo Festival in Franklin, where they would give away free clothing and food and things. So I was on that committee. We did a distribution with them. A year goes by and we're in down on First Avenue at when it used to be a bank there. It's not anymore. But and I told Elaine, I said, hey, we need to call them. We got another Cinco de Mayo coming. We need to call Second Harvest. As soon as I said that, my phone rings. And I have a St. Louis cell phone number, and it was Second Harvest calling us with a free truckload of food. And that kind of launched everything. And so the cool part about that story is I got to speak at Second Harvest, and I was telling that very story. And a guy raises his hand in the back of the room, and he said, I was the driver.
No way.
I hadn't seen him years.
Yeah.
We were all crying. It was
I told him, I said, and this was so many years ago now. And I looked at him, I said, you don't have any idea what you saying that one thing, how many people that's going to feed. Yeah. And so the backstory to the story is when we were in St. Louis, our middle daughter, who will be 34 Saturday, was born with spina bifida. And so greatest miracle we have, that's a whole nother story. We have a lot of stories.
She's had 17 surgeries.
Wow. But while she was born, I was in construction at that time and had hardly any work. I think I made about $16,000 or $18,000 that year for the year. And when you have a child with that kind of we had to have insurance. So half our income went to insurance. That wasn't including house payment.
Yeah.
all those other things. So we ended up being in a food line for 6 months.
Oh my God.
And we were on government cheese, which, by the way, is like some of the best cheese in the world. I
Is it
wish
really?
I knew where they got it. 'Cause
My
I
great
love it.
grandma used to get it, man. It was good stuff.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It seriously is. And anyway, but
we
Elaine
in the
remembered
lines.
with a shame how that felt,
Yeah.
So you kind of quote unquote become successful, and you always say, "I'll never forget," right?
Yeah.
But you kind of do. And so we do the Cinco de Mayo thing, and we started remembering those stories. And that really motivated us. And so the name came from just praying one day, and God dropped this phrase in my heart: "One generation away." Didn't know what to do with it, reserved a domain name, and it became what it is today. So it started as a generation away from eliminating racism, denominationalism, and poverty in America. So churches crossing racial denominational lines to serve their communities unconditionally. And that's evolved over time. And now our mission statement is hope, honor, and dignity shared through food, with a vision of wiping hunger off the face of America by teaching people to love one another through service.
I love that. That's going to make me cry.
Yeah.
Aw.
And
No, I love
it
that.
takes one person just to start it.
Yeah, like you said, somebody
And
going, "Hey, I
two
have
people in
bread."
this instance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
Wait in a parking lot.
Then we had this friend of ours called up and said, "Hey, can you guys pick up some food from Whole Foods?" And we're like, "Sure." We didn't. So we went and picked it up, and we literally started picking up food from them that was about to go bad, like in 3 or 4 days, And so we were in a Hyundai Santa Fe, and it was so packed. You couldn't even get a piece of paper between me and the roof. I had boxes all over me, food all over me. And we would just go into low income housing projects and just open up the door and let them shop for free.
Here in Franklin, which there are projects in
Yes.
housing
Right.
projects.
I call it Forgotten Franklin.
Yes.
And trailer
you're right,
parks,
you're right.
you know the deal.
Yeah. So we would do that. And then actually we're still doing that today. We rescue food from, all different, everywhere, Costco, Publix, Kroger's, GFS, like just all over, Whole Foods still. And then that food actually is on someone's table within 24 hours. And that still goes on today.
Yeah.
So
That's phenomenal.
it's this weird thing how you create a model out of so really when we started, we used to do commodities with Mid-Cumberland. So they get commodities 4 times a year, and so
where I work,
we would go in there and bag that food, walk it out to people's cars in their parking lot. And I figured, well, it's a government agency, but it's a public parking lot. So I just thought I'd ask this simple question: "Hey, is there anything I can pray with you about today?" And man, that was just like, these people would just go, just open up,
Yeah.
And it was like this wonderful invitation to step into the life of another human being. And it's amazing when you just care, even just a smidge enough to look when someone in the eye and ask some question like that.
Yeah.
And little did I know that that's the model we use today.
Yeah. So true.
Before I ever did a distribution in a truck. And so that's what's crazy about this whole thing. This whole process was literally just something we kind of fell into. I don't know if that makes any sense.
My thought is I remember way back in the day, the whole point of it was the prayer for us, right? And food was just the vehicle. Well, then as it's evolved, we realized like how much food insecurity is literally all over the world. It's in our city. It's everywhere. So then that's kind of how, we started with prayer. And so we still ask everyone that's in line, is there anything we can pray with you about? And that's where we collaborate with a lot of other nonprofits, because if there's other needs than just food, then we can help get them to different nonprofits where they, have need, and they can help fulfill those needs that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And
or
the
invite
beautiful
them to our distributions to meet with
Yeah.
people and serve people that are there, whether it's diapers or clothing or
We've done all of that.
blood pressure checks or whatever, all kinds of things.
Okay. So do y'all have like other organizations that also kind of show up there at the distribution site?
Some of them we do. We invite people to come and do that. COVID really kind of screwed everything up and really threw everything in a wrench, but we're back in now. And we just had somebody brought, car seats the other day to a distribution and gave car seats away. Just crazy
incredible.
stuff,
We'll give the Rotary Club will give laundry detergent sheets away, the packages of those. It's just incredible. They get much more than just food.
Right. And it's just been incredible just with our podcast and talking to all the different organizations of how much everyone mentions each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I don't think we've had a single person on here where they also didn't mention at least one,
Oh, yeah.
2 or 3 other nonprofits that they refer their people to. And it's the same names over and over, and which is amazing.
That's how we get our guests like you guys is everybody say, hey, you need to talk to Chris and Elaine over at OneGen. And it's like that all the time. And that's what we love. We love the collaboration of all of them.
Yeah. One other crazy thing is we do, I really feel led to tell you all this, and because some people think we're nuts, but we actually have a fund in our budget that our board has approved that I get to donate to other nonprofits.
That's amazing.
So
I've never heard of that before.
I remember what it was like to start out. So
it was hard.
So our board has given me permission that if I find a need that I want to write a check to, that I can write a check. I mean, it's capped, in a certain amount every year,
but it's very generous.
You never want to forget. I'm a firm believer. You never want to forget where you came from.
Amen.
So for us, it's a good way to remember. We remember what that was like, before we were the size we are now, when it was just like when nobody got paid.
Yeah.
Nobody got paid for the first few years we did this at all.
It was about 6 or 7 years we didn't get paid.
It was, so you just don't want to forget that. And so I'm really grateful. And people have asked me, well, what do your donors think? And every donor I mention it to, they think that's just the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
And
there's surplus, right?
Well, there's no way, it's one thing to tell people something, but when you're intentional about doing it, it's really wild. I mean, it's fun to do because they'll look at you like, what are you doing? And I want to be like, well, I'm just, just wanted to sew into what you're doing, man. Wanted to be a part of what you're doing.
They're nuts like us, apparently. We're in good company. So a question about the start. And what year was that? How many years ago was that?
So we started doing it about 2011. We were DBA'd under our church doing business as, because just in case it didn't work. And believe me, there were moments.
The great thing is thank God that we've never wanted to quit on the same day.
Yeah.
Right. So if somebody wants to quit, the other one's like, no, we got this. We got this, So that's always happened. Thank God for that.
Well, there was one day. There was one day. This seriously happened.
This day, literally.
So this is our little marriage moment here. I asked Elaine one day, I said, so if you would have known then what you know now, and she went, today's not a good day to ask that question. I mean, like dead straight serious. And I went, note taken, and went into another room. Right. I was like, okay, not asking that today. And, but no, on a serious note though, when we started, it was in 11, it was probably 12. I mean, I remember being in front of a group of pastors and sharing this idea, and it was like crickets. And I came home and told Elaine, I must be the dumbest human being on earth. It's probably the worst idea ever. But we were talking, it was Christmas Eve, I think it was.
It was Christmas, the day after Christmas.
Day after Christmas, that's what it was. Yeah. And I said, hey, I don't think this OneGen thing's going to work. I mean, seriously, we're having this conversation. And we're just sitting there, and all of a sudden my cell phone rings just out of the blue.
It's like at 9:00 on the day after Christmas that morning.
And this guy's on the phone. He goes, hey, man, I saw you. There was an article in the Williamson Herald about us, about our 2 volunteer drivers. One was a black guy, one was a white guy. And the white guy's from Mississippi, and about their story, serving together. And he said, I tried to give to this international organization, but they never answered. So I wanted to have coffee with you and see if we might want to donate to you. And I'm like, okay. I said, sure. When do you want to meet? And he goes, how about like 10 minutes? I go, how about 20 so I can take a shower? And we met at the Starbucks on 5 Points in downtown Franklin.
Back in the day.
And we met for like 2 hours. And this guy goes, I think my wife and I want to donate. And he opens an open-faced checkbook. And a Starbucks table's like the size of a
remember when
stamp,
they were really little?
What I mean?
Yeah.
And he starts writing numbers. So I'm just doing this because I hate, and he folds up a check and sticks it in our pocket. We go home, I open that check. It was for $30,000.
No way.
And we're like, well, guess we're not quitting now.
And
so
if it wasn't for that guy, we probably wouldn't be on this podcast.
Talk about obedience, right? Like we wouldn't be on here. We wouldn't have had it.
But at that point, the tenacity level rises about 100. You know what I mean? You get what I'm saying. I think 100.
Absolutely.
So that was one of the coolest beginning stories.
True.
of a complete stranger. We have no idea who they are, just reading an article in a paper and meeting with them for 2 hours, that
And
they
now
were
have become
motivated,
really good friends.
to write a check that size. And so that's why we always talk about that. We get a lot of, we've been humbled. We get a lot of accolades. A lot of people are very kind about what they say, but this is God's baby, and it's he's made it happen. We just happen to be willing vessels that have made it happen, but
Help steward it.
we can't take credit for what's being done. The volunteers, our team, they what makes this happen every day. And then that guy with that check was a huge catalyst for where we are now.
It's just people being obedient again.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
So do you think that God sometimes pushes us and lets us get to the very end to draw us back, just to show you that?
Always. I'm going to tell you all what. So we moved here and planted that church, and we did that. But I tell people, I said, I believe God will let you believe whatever you want to believe to get you where he wants to get you, to do with you what he wants to do with you. Just really think about that for a minute. So we came here to plant a church. The one thing we knew about food was we liked to eat it. There was never this idea of a food ministry. I didn't work in a grocery store or, nothing like that.
No, nothing.
Right.
And so, but he just needed to get us here. Right.
Yeah.
And if it was to start a church, he's like, fine, go start a church. I don't care. That's not what you're going to do ultimately, but I just need you to go there.
Yeah.
And once we got here, then everything else unfolded.
Up,
right.
For sure.
And there were some hard moments. And believe me, there's a million.
It's been a long road.
It's been a long road. So when we became our own 501c3 in June of 13, in November of 2013, we signed our first lease on a small warehouse behind the factory. It's a little 2,000 square feet. It was only like a 12-foot ceiling, so it didn't hold much food, but
it was our warehouse.
$2,000 a month.
Right.
Yeah. $2,000 a month.
This was November the 1st.
November the 1st. December 31st of 2013, I get diagnosed with stage 3 throat cancer.
Oh my goodness.
Throat, tongue, and lymph node cancer.
And I talk for a living. I pastor a church. I run a nonprofit, now. And I mean, it's like that.
I'm a talker.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so 14 was our first full year in existence, and our budget was $25,000 and our rent was $2,000 a month. So that tells you who got paid. And we never missed a payment.
God was so faithful.
Yeah. We did half the mobile pantries we did the year before. And so we ended that year in about $1 million in food and a $25,000 cash budget. And 23, we closed at $2 million budget and $26 million in food. So we went from $1 million nonprofit to $28 million in 10 years.
That's phenomenal.
And didn't kill each other, which was really amazing.
And that's even better.
Or anyone else, either. So I don't think.
Even better.
Yeah.
Now, the type of people that you serve, and a lot of people think, oh, you're probably just helping like the Section 8 people. You're just helping the people who are completely impoverished. There's a stereotype that comes with that. Sorry, I'm trying not to cry. But there's a whole other set of people that are barely making payments on their home, and they're one paycheck away from losing everything, and have to go stand in those lines because they know that they can barely make it here in Franklin or Brentwood, and they don't have that extra, money to feed their kids. And I know in the college town that I went to, I paid for my own college education. I've had to pay for everything on my own. I was working a full-time job, but I still didn't have enough money, and I would go without food. Like, I can't imagine, having something like this in my college town, because I know I wasn't the only one that was going without food because they were paying for their tuition first. And there's just so many different scenarios. I know when we first moved here, there was a time fresh out of college, and I had a 2-year-old having to get on food stamps to make it here, living in an apartment and barely making it. Like when we say we came to Franklin with humble beginnings, like it really, really was. We're like, we want to raise our kids there. We want to be there. But it had to be a very humble moment to come and do that. When we worked our way out of it, but if it wasn't for that assistance, we couldn't have
Yep.
We couldn't have fed our family. And even then, there was not anything like this that was supplementing, because we all know that's not enough. What you're getting, that $100
Oh,
does
yeah.
not, $200
No,
does not
we're
go
not their
far.
source, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
we talk about that with our team and with our volunteers, you know, that we're not someone's source. We are a source, and we want to do the best we can to you know, exercise that source. But, you know, what's really cool, Jason, Mindy, is that we didn't realize how unique what we do is until we got into this, and auditors and different people are like, we've never heard of anything like this. What you do is so different, you know, and it's like
How do you
that's when you,
bookkeep?
well, yeah. Once you know, then you know, God just keeps showing up more and more. Just in case you thought it was you, guess what? No,
Yeah.
it wasn't. You know, you're not that smart. You know, you're right. I'm not.
You know what? One thing, going back to the faces of how our line has just changed, right? Because, you know, sometimes it's the working poor, sometimes it's the, you know, people who are on the street. But, you know, we always have said, never judge a person by their car. Like, don't ever judge that, because the bottom line is you don't know what their stories, they could be living in that car. And that's what a lot of
Very true.
things that we've come across is what's happened is people would say, you know, hey, I lost my job and now I'm living in this car. And it was just, I mean, it's heart-wrenching to have that. But you're right. Some people are one paycheck away from being in the food lines.
You know, she was talking about when we first started out in the real world after college. And I remember those times. It was so aggravating. It's so depressing. And it just beats you down and and I guess that's where, you know, the devil kind of comes in and plays mind tricks on you, thinking, well, you're not good enough.
Yeah.
All your friends are doing fine. Why? I remember, I don't know if you remember this. I remember one time we were in Walmart during this time period. And, you know, we had both gone to college. Our parents had not gone to college. And so we were kind of like the first ones of our family to do so. And so it was all new territory. Well, getting out and having that debt and having to, you know, get out there in the working world yourself, it was tough, but we made it. But I remember this time at Walmart that we were shopping and I went to get some soap. Some just regular bath bar soap, right?
I remember this.
Huh?
I remember this.
You remember this? And it was such a pivotal moment in our life. But I remember I grabbed what I wanted, which was what I was used to. And I remember we were so broke that I looked at the other one that was on sale. It was 32 cents cheaper. And, you know, nowadays we don't even think about that. 32 cents is okay. But then it was such a major difference. And that's how broke we were.
Counting pennies.
And I still remember it, you know, on that shopping cart looking at the soap going, never again. Never again.
Yeah.
And
we're getting out of this.
And that's why, you know, like we're talking about, you can't judge. You don't know, because other people didn't know that about us at the time.
Yeah, nobody knew.
And, you know, we can't judge. And I love that about your organization, is that I know, you know, from reading about it, you don't require anything from you. Just show up, right?
Do you know why?
No questions asked.
And no qualifying questions at all.
Yeah.
The reason is because when I was in that food line, you know, they asked all these questions and it was so demeaning. And I felt so much shame that when we started this, I told Chris, I'm like, we're not asking any questions, because I don't want anybody to feel the way that I felt that day, that, you know, those days that you're in the line, you know, it was so shameful. And, you know, it was sad, really, because now, you know, looking back on it, you're like, gosh, I mean, why would they do something like that instead of just trying to reach out and help you, you know?
Yeah.
Prove that you need help. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just really hard. And I thought we're not doing that. So
one of our board members put it this way, and it you feel like you need to take a shower after you say this. She said, it's like we ask people to prove they're sufficiently deficient to need help.
That's heavy.
It's very heavy. It's like we strip them of humanity.
Right. You're no longer human.
I need you to prove to me how bad you are, how bad off you are.
You know, why
that's a bad place. I mean, that's a terrible place to put somebody in.
Yeah.
You already feel bad enough. Like you and I, we've lived that, right?
For sure.
Right.
That's why we want to bring hope, honor, and dignity, because, you know, they're stripped of that. So many people are, you know, and it's like, that's what we want to bring. And, we do a grocery cart full of food for free, and it's like everything. It's from, dairy to canned goods to soups to, fresh produce, lots of fresh produce, fruits and vegetables. And it's like literally a grocery store. So it's like 2 weeks worth of groceries they'll get for free. And we're just very humbled to be able to even think about providing that. God's been so faithful to us.
And I completely get, where you're talking about not asking the questions and everything. When we first started at Love the Dress, giving away prom dresses, we always asked for a $10, $20 donation. And, and of course, if you couldn't afford it, you'd get one for free. And a lot of the organizations out there, the girls had to bring in that they were either on food stamps or they had to bring in that they were on free reduced lunch at school in order to get a dress. And, I sat down with some of the people we were working with and I'm like, I don't want to do that. I'm like, I know you guys are worried that people are taking advantage, but I don't want these girls to have to prove how poor they are. If a girl is coming to, a place to get a donation or to get a charitable dress, for prom, I think that's proof enough that they need help, because most girls want the most, the newest thing or whatever, going to the mall or going to the dress shops in Nashville. So for them just to be humble enough to show up to get help, I was like, our job is just to love on them.
Amen.
I love what you guys do. That's incredible. Talk about bringing dignity and honor and hope to people, to those girls. That's amazing.
And I'm sure, like with Love the Dress and the way, y'all don't ask questions, there may be a very small few that just show up, kind of take advantage of it. But so what? I mean, you're blessing so many other people for it.
Exactly.
It doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
I always say that's between them and God, right?
That's right.
Not between us,
do what we're supposed to do. That's between what they do with it. If they're going to do that, they have to deal with that, not us.
That's right. It's not on my salvation. That's
right.
No, really. Well, and you find out, I tell people all the time, I said, the face of hunger is not what you think it is, as you mentioned before, Mindy, right? Which I thought was such a powerful thing for you to say. And let me say this, man, your all's vulnerability is so commendable. Thank you. Thank you for being real. And no wonder people love your show, because you guys are just so stinking real. And I love that.
So true.
But it's just not what you think it is. And most hunger is seasonal. And so we talk about, we just want to walk this season with you. Yeah. And then some people get to be on the other side. I remember a lady at Franklin Elementary School, I think it was. Which one was it? Yeah, but she's bopping with a grocery cart, this big smile on her face, and she looks at me. She goes, "You don't know me." She goes, "But I used to have to be in this line, and now I don't."
Oh my goodness!
And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" You're like, "Wow!" So she got to serve, and we actually have people that park their car, get out, and help us bag it and serve it and give it away.
And then get back in their car
and receive it. And I'm like, that to me is the first step out of the cycle. Now you're valuable, right? I have something to give someone else.
Yeah. Yes.
Does it make sense? You
just want to go hug them.
Oh my gosh. You're just,
exactly.
I have a ton of young ladies who are college age, and now because we're having our 15th year this year, where they have come back after college or as an adult to help volunteer. And they'll let me know. They're like, "Do you remember me? I came for 4 years in a row to get my dress, and now I'm here to help." And I'm like, I love it. I'm like, thank you.
Man,
that's great.
I love that.
That is great.
Yeah. Or when they donate their dress back when they have nothing.
Oh, wow.
And then they bring their dress back the next year to donate.
Wow. That's powerful.
Yeah,
that really is.
The world's really better than what we know it is. There's a lot of really great people out there. And I don't know, what is it about the fact that if someone's in need, we think they're a lesser human? Why?
Yeah, that's true.
You want to know what most people say to us? Is it okay if I give some of this to my neighbor because they couldn't get here?
Wow.
Is it okay if I do? And I'm like, yes,
please do.
Yeah. I mean, that's people talk about this. Maybe Jason, as you said, maybe that 1%, if it's even that high, that take advantage of us. Most of them are like, how do I give some of it away?
Right.
You've got this need. Don't give it away.
Right.
I mean, but I'm like, man, whatever, it's your food. If you want to share it, man, go for it. That's awesome.
So you guys have a lot of volunteers at your events,
Yes.
right? Can you share a little bit about that? Do you have like returning volunteers? Do you have like organizations? How does that work?
So we have about almost 20 volunteers, probably now think we do 38 Saturdays in Middle Tennessee.
Just here. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And,
Okay.
and we have about 20 volunteers that almost make every one of those. So really our local distributions, we also have a warehouse in Alabama and North Florida. So we're expanding around the country.
Oh,
That's
Part of the
amazing.
mission.
I want to know more about that in a minute.
Yeah. The mission is crazy. But anyway, so they run a distribution. Our team really doesn't run one at all. They literally just do everything.
I mean, it takes about a good 80 to 100 to have a really successful, distribution. So we have like a list of people that, have signed up on the email, and we just send an email the week where we're going to be. And they just show up. We don't ask them to sign up because, when you sign up and you don't show up, they're like, oh, I'm embarrassed. They won't come back. Like,
Right.
no, if you can make it, just make it. So they'll come. And I mean, we normally have just the perfect amount of volunteers. God just really works it out that way every Saturday.
And, it used to be where, especially since, I love You Matter Nashville. It's like, we joke with the Wilco folks. You all know what I mean by Wilco. And if you're from Wilco, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm talking to you right now. So I always tell my distributions, I said, hey, there's this really cool thing we learned is that when you leave the Williamson County border, your tires don't lock up. Your car will continue to roll. So when we're doing one at Maplewood High School, which is an amazing experience, like we just had 300 cars last Saturday at Maplewood High School, turn cars away. I mean, which is gut wrenching.
yeah.
But, it's amazing that you can get to Maplewood High School on Saturday morning as fast as you can cross Franklin.
Yeah, that's
Right.
That's true.
Right.
Mhm.
And so there is another world besides Wilco out there. And our events are kid friendly. So you can bring your kids any age. It doesn't matter.
The reason is, though, why he's saying that is because when we're in Franklin location, which is great, we love being here in Franklin too, but we have like sometimes 200, 300 volunteers. Then when we go to Maplewood, like he was talking about, we might have like 50. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if somebody would help us, different areas, because we're all over, Middle Tennessee.
But you asked Jason about, so we have high school kids get their hours with us. There's other groups that join with us. Companies join with us.
And really just individuals.
Individuals.
Bring their families and
And you all might be able to appreciate this. I remember, when we started and we opened up a Facebook page, we had 25 followers. I'm like, oh my God, how cool is that? And now we have, thousands and thousands of followers. It's like crazy, over 10,000 followers, I think, or something, which is nuts. I'm like, where do these people come from?
That's awesome.
And so, we are a volunteer-led organization. I think we have 14 employees, and we move 10 million pounds of food with 14 employees. So it's like you better have some volunteers.
Yeah.
And so we, I don't know, we just, it's
tell them the mission because
so the mission. When I dreamed this is why people pray for Elaine. Many reasons, but I'm probably the main reason is to feed 1 million people on a Saturday morning and 1 million people being prayed with face to face by the local church.
Wow.
So that's the dream. And so it's our 10. That's our 10. We just did our strategic plan, and that's our 10-year BHAG. Our big, hairy, audacious goal is to feed 1 million people 10 years from now on a Saturday morning. And
write this down. Big, hairy,
audacious goal.
The BHAG. So that, and I really, so there was a while there where I didn't know if I'd see it in my lifetime, but I really believe we're going to get to see that.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Well,
I believe
it'll be pretty cool,
So we are replicating around the country. Yeah. So
that's incredible.
We do disaster relief now. So we'll be in, Northeast Tennessee and probably, I think Asheville, North Carolina. We've done, we do
we've sent when the hurricane happened, we sent 60 semis there full of supplies and food. And we had this friend who had turned a semi trailer into a kitchen. So we would provide the food. They would cook it, helicopter it up to the mountains and feed the people who were stranded. It was so cool.
That's
we
really
were so thankful just to be a small part of that.
That is very cool. So
we have a lot of fun stories, man. There's just a lot of crazy stuff happening.
We don't have enough time for all of that.
No, it's just, we've been volunteers are a huge part of who we are, and the organizations, the companies. We run, several 26-foot refrigerated trucks every day of the week. Like Elaine says, 6 days a week, rescuing food and putting it on people's tables. And we couldn't do it without the support of this community and the people at large. And
I want to hear about that, because I'm a huge recycler, reduce, reuse, all of that. And so I think a huge problem in our nation is how much food waste we have.
Yep.
So I really would love to hear more about, you can even drop names, like what companies are saying, let's try to fix this. Let's donate this food.
Yeah. So Whole Foods, Kroger, Trader Joe's, Costco, Sam's, Walmart. It's Aldi, Publix,
pretty much all of them.
And also we also do caterers too. So when caterers have Suzette's Catering,
Menu
she'll call
Maker,
us when she has more. Yeah.
Menu Maker. We rescue the Music City Center. We rescue Geodis Field. We rescue,
wow.
That's really
you name it, man.
Yeah.
We try to name. So we say this all the time, and is that hunger is not a supply and demand issue. It is a logistics issue. That's right. Rescuing food is, you've got basically between a 4 and 5 hour window every day to get it. That's it. You think about how many grocery stores there are. So there's not enough of us or Second Harvest. There's just not enough of either one of us to rescue every store in a 4 to 5 hour window.
Right.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Because we could get, at a Costco, we could get 2,000 to 3,000 pounds in one morning.
Oh my God.
Just prepared meals. Sure. We're talking really great stuff. Bananas that are still green. Just unbelievable things that you can't even imagine. So we, it's really humbling to see, but I like you, Mindy, so there's two segments of our population, the elderly and our children. We need to feed them. We can argue about the middle, but man, by golly, while we argue about the middle, I'm going to feed the rest of them, and I'm going to feed the middle too, but don't tell anybody. So they probably just found out right now, but no kid should go to school hungry. No kid should spend a weekend without a meal.
No. Mm-hmm.
That shouldn't happen.
Right.
And so the more access we can get to rescuing food, the better. And so that for us is,
that's a huge part of what we do.
We're really good at that. Our team, we call our drivers, we call them first responders. So they are the unsung heroes that nobody sees and nobody gets to know. The retirement towers we go to in Nashville and the disabled towers and the elderly, where they get to see a buffet spread in their
community room
with all this fresh produce and meat and stuff. They get to shop
cakes
for free and whatever they want.
So fun.
And when you do that once in a truck, you're just like, wow. And it's work, man.
It's hard work, but boy, obviously we couldn't do it without our team. Our team is amazing.
Yeah.
And we just hired our 15th employee. Yep.
So this year, 25, I think our budget's $3 million cash, but we're anticipating doing like $33 million worth of food off that. And so
that's amazing.
Yeah. So we stretch a dollar really far, 96 cents on a dollar goes to what we do. We try to run really lean. The amount of food we throw away is obnoxious and it's ridiculous, man. We've got to get our heads around this.
True.
And we live in a country that hunger shouldn't be an issue.
No.
We're too wealthy of a country to have these kids going to school. And it's like you said, you can argue over things, but at the end of the day, a kid does not need to go to school hungry or be, on the weekends hungry, because that affects his whole life, because it affects him at that school. It affects him with his studies,
development,
all of it. It's a generational, curse of some sort that we can easily, and I say easily, but we have the ability to fix that. And that's what you guys are doing. And so I'm with you. I'm with you on your BHAG. I believe you can make that happen.
Now, with the school systems, I know that Williamson County and Franklin and a lot of the other school districts around Middle Tennessee have really done a great job to make sure that all these kids can get a breakfast, that they can get a lunch. But do you guys work with them for the kids that you know are not getting that extra food?
Yes.
Oh yeah, we work with all the social workers.
Very close relationship with the social workers who know the families who are hungry. So, it's embarrassing, obviously, for the kids. We have an 18 to 20 pound box that the social workers will pick up, or even sometimes they're in their schools, and they'll just take them to the families that they know that's in need so they can eat over the weekend.
Yeah,
and it's like not just a weekend, it's probably, maybe 5 days worth of food. So
we have this new program we started. Well, it's not new anymore. It's a little over a year, but it's called the Doorstep Pantry. So we partnered with DoorDash. They had sent out a mass email and we responded. And so what we do is we'll deliver on Fridays in Williamson County. They can go on our doorsteppantry.com and sign up. And within a 10-mile radius of our warehouse in Cool Springs, we deliver a box of food for free to their doorstep.
So your shut-ins can actually be able to get
people
food.
who are transportation insecure, people who don't have cars, or
and so
elderly.
We use those boxes for the schools and for juvenile justice. We work with them, so somebody gets handed some kids they weren't expecting, and
police department.
We had a call the other day.
Firemen.
So Thanksgiving morning, we were.
Chris and I were at the warehouse grabbing food for people.
2 women that were in domestic violence situations that we were able to deliver food to them on Thanksgiving morning.
And a turkey was awesome.
And so, we get to do a lot of fun stuff, man. I mean,
do.
it is crazy how blessed and how much fun we get to have.
So true.
But, the biggest thing so I'll tell you a crazy story is when COVID hit, I get a call from Williamson County Schools.
Well, tell me what we were doing first.
Yes, we were doing emergency food boxes, which were in banana boxes, and we were doing about 40 a week. So get your head around this one; it's going to blow your mind. 40 boxes a week. COVID hits, schools shut down, right?
Yeah.
So they call us and said, "Hey, we want to meet." They come into our warehouse and they said, "We want you to feed the school district." Okay. And so we said, and the joke with me is always that I always say yes. So my first response, my team's sitting there with me, we were like,
we're the same way.
We're
not going to.
We just said, sure. What does that look like? And so we literally went from 40 to 600 boxes a week and did it for like 4 months.
We grew over 200%.
So we had a distribution down in Spring Hill area. We went at Fairview. We had these different points, and we were swapping trucks with the schools. The school district, they were using our trucks, we were using their trucks, and we were moving all this food.
That's beautiful.
And we had 2 families that came in and boxed twice a week.
They were already doing it. So they've been around us. So and none of us got COVID at that time. None of us. So
that's amazing.
It was a miracle. So we would be dishonoring this community if we did not engage our schools. And it's it's not about OneGen, it's not about credit, it's about making sure no kid goes hungry.
For sure.
And I remember that. And I remember getting the emails. They would say, okay, on this day, we're having, they'd call them like lunch pickups or something like that.
Yeah.
And the parents would get in line and they'd be able to have pretty much breakfast and lunch like they normally would if they were going to school.
That's a feeding program during the summer. Yeah. So
it's true.
It's a lot of cool. I mean, there's so many organizations and things that go on out there that are great. It's just, we need more of us, and we need to expand more and get more food. That's really what it's all about. How do we go rescue more food? How can we get it in the right hands of the right people?
I like how you say rescue the food. I like the rescue the food.
It's a really funny, it really causes.
People are like, what do you do?
It causes conversation. I can tell you that much. They're like, what the heck?
But it really is true, right? I mean, we are rescuing it and giving it to other people. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Now, outside of food, do you guys have like other educational opportunities or anything for the families, or is that something that you guys redirect?
We redirect pretty much everything. We get a lot of really cool stuff, though. You'd be amazed the stuff we get. We take in and because we have other people we can give it through and
to other, organizations and different nonprofits. And so sometimes we'll get different things and we'll donate that for their, the manger program or whatever that they're doing, so they can give those out. And it's just, I mean, it works out. We'll get a truckload of something. We're like, okay, God, what are we going to do? And somebody needed exactly that, so it all works out. When
the tornadoes hit Clarksville last year, we work with the Apex a lot up in Clarksville. And so we immediately went up with food, but we got this truckload. We got 70 record players.
Really?
And so they were able to give them out to high school kids in Clarksville that their houses were destroyed by a tornado.
Because it's hard for people to have the older kids to have toys, right?
Right.
So just the crazy cool stuff we get. Y'all, we get some really cool stuff that's fun to give away to people. And but we try to redirect. We kind of tell people we're a one-trick pony, but we ride that horse pretty well. And and honestly, I'm just once again so grateful for this opportunity that you would even have us on your podcast. It really means a lot to us.
Thank you.
But if there's one message I want to get across is, hey, nonprofits, let's figure out how to play together.
Yes,
for sure.
A rising tide raises all ships, and there's more than enough money out there for all of us, right? I believe if we would work together, people would even give more because they realize their dollars being stretched.
Right.
And I know we're probably running against time, but I do want to share one more last idea that we're working on right now that has been publicized now and it's getting closer to fruition. So I had this idea of, Elaine told me, we can't start another nonprofit. We started a church, and she says, you cannot.
Church with nothing, one gym with nothing. I'm like, that's it. No more nonprofits.
So I have this idea, you all have, I'm sure you got many of these stories the same way, right? So we're getting ready for church. I said, hey, I got this idea. And I'm like, she's going to say no, but I just got to get it off my chest. I said, I think we ought to build a nonprofit center that would give OneGen a lifetime home and have multiple services in one location so people could come to one place and get all their needs met, medical, dental, and all this. And Elaine looks at me and she goes, I think that's God. And I went, I didn't even think, Jason, you'll appreciate it. I didn't even think. I just went, no.
That means I have to do it.
Yeah, I know. This is exactly, you said no, I couldn't do this. She said, well, this is different. I'm like, the women's prerogative right there. It's
it's been years. I mean, this happened before COVID, but now it's like all coming to fruition. And, we've got some land that we're going to be building on Downs Boulevard.
That backs up to Franklin Elementary.
Right, backs up to Franklin. It's a perfect location. And we're going to have free dental, free medical. We'll have counseling in there. We're going to have the community childcare will be in there. We're going to have its own pay-as-you-can coffee shop. And we're going to have a free grocery store so they can just come in and get all their needs met in one spot. It's going to be beautiful. They can hang out for the day. And if they can't afford the coffee or a sandwich, they can have it at the cafe. And so it's going to be really cool. We're excited about that.
That is really amazing.
I do. I love that. And I completely understand, Chris, as Mindy is probably tired of all of my ideas too, because
we're idea people and we are also, let's take it and run with it people. And sometimes we have to go, okay, let's take a breath, think through this.
Yeah.
Do we need to take on anything else? So
this might be dangerous that we've met via. I got a feeling there's a breakfast, lunch, or dinner coming in our future, and we're going to be like,
I would love that.
What are we going to build?
Yes, one of the best compliments a friend gave. He's like, the last time I was at your house, you were like, I'm thinking of doing this, this, and this. And then we came back and it's done. Like we would have still been in the planning stages. It's just, we're like, why wait? Just do it now. Let's
just
do it.
Just jump in and figure it out.
Get her done, as they say.
We're very grateful for you guys to have us on here, honestly.
Yeah,
so it's been such a joy and a pleasure for that.
Well, thank you. And it's a blessing that you guys are here and blessing our community, but it's a blessing that you are giving back so much and that you are being disciplined in what God's leading you to do. And because without that, guess how many kids would still be hungry and been going hungry over the years. So your heart definitely shines through. And
can I ask you a question? I mean, we love to ask this question. Yeah. And how can we serve you? What can we do for y'all? I mean, seriously.
What can we pray with you about?
I mean, I didn't know you were the one that did the prom dresses. Yes. My God, you were like my hero already. I'm like, I get to meet the people that start things. I'm like, oh my God, why didn't I do that? I feel like, do you ever? All right.
Yeah, because you're like, you can't do everything. You can't.
But have you ever
go on for hours.
Have you ever felt like, God, we should be doing something when somebody does something really cool and you didn't think of it and you feel like, and you're like, my God, man, I'm already doing this. What am I thinking? I can't, I'm not supposed to do everything.
But anyway, people have to do things.
But seriously, what can we do to serve you guys? What do you guys need? I don't know. Hopefully other people ask you this question, but I mean that sincerely because that is our heart is to serve. So how can we serve you all?
let other people give us a list of other people that we could
Oh,
be able to
absolutely.
have the opportunity to reach out to, that we can shine a light on their ministry, their nonprofit, and what they're doing to help the
Oh, we have
community.
so many that we
Yeah,
can give you. We will email that to you.
Yeah, we'll
for
email
sure.
you as
Would
many as we
love that.
can.
I think that's the biggest blessing for us is, I mean, we're kind of doing our love project. We're kind of doing what
It's our passion project.
yeah, it's what we love to do. And we love to help, but we've also been the one that needed the help.
I know.
Agreed.
And this may be one of those dinner conversations, so we can put the idea brains, the four of us together. This is our passion project. We have a full-time career, in real estate, but we started this podcast, started this whole thing. It literally just came out of thin air.
Yeah.
Literally just like, hey, let's do this. Right. I mean,
Yeah.
we're actually in Miami when everything just happened. And couldn't wait to get home to start working on it. But I would say, because we were literally just talking before this about we want to sit down and kind of map out what does the rest of the year look like for You Matter Nashville, because it's not just a podcast. You Matter Nashville is really a way to connect a lot of these organizations, also share with other people. There are places to go to get assistance in a multitude of things.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that we're even looking at doing is kind of do on location.
That's awesome.
Kind of videos and sharing the stories. So like with you guys doing the parking lot.
That'd be great.
The warehouse,
and
just
the
seeing where
warehouse.
you are.
That'd be so fun. What a great idea. Yeah, that's wonderful.
So I would say, maybe, if you wouldn't mind us coming and do that, get that.
We'd love it.
Hey,
man. It'd be fun.
anytime. Absolutely. And we'll give you a list of people too, because we have a lot of friends.
I love it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you guys.
And same here. Thank you so much for just loving on people.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh man.
Thank you. It's our honor.
I mean, what a privilege. I mean, we really do look at it like why, man, that God would choose us is like incredible. And the people that like you, the people that serve with us, I mean, it's just, gosh, it's just so humbling, man. It's like, you have a dream and a vision, and it's like, not all of them have worked. Trust me. I mean, we're giving you the good story, but there's others that have failed miserably,
Yeah.
We know all about that.
All about that on our side. Yeah.
But if you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough.
That's right.
I mean that sincerely. And so I don't know. It's just really humbling and a blast. And I'm really, really grateful for you all. What a great heart you have. I'm serious about offline. We need to get together sometime.
Let's do it.
We'll make that
That'd be
happen.
great.
Before we wrap up, for our listeners, how could they get involved and help? What's the best way to do that?
OneGenAway.com. Go there and click join the movement, get on our newsletter. All of our mobile pantry dates are on there.
On the calendar.
On the calendar, you can sign up to volunteer in the warehouse on there. You can
donate.
Just show up at a distribution. Like Elaine said, you don't need to register. I know that's crazy, but it just works. And donate. Everything's on that site. So, and if you email info, it'll get to me. So, or me or Elaine, whoever you want to,
me and Annette.
Yeah. Annette books a lot of my schedule and stuff like that. So she handles a lot of that. So Annette or Elaine or Chris at OneGenAway.com. It will get you where you want to go.
And also too, I almost forgot, you also do speaking and consulting as well.
Yeah, it's kind of a crazy thing. I'm just kind of really starting to launch out in that. I mean, I've spoke for a lot. I mean, pastored a church and spoke at churches all over the place, but this phase of our ministry in my life, I feel like I've learned a lot over the last several years. I mean, I've started 2 nonprofits and, and grown. They're both. And anyway, so if anybody that's interested in colleges, high schools, whatever, I mean, I love to talk, but there's a page, chriswhitneyspeaks.com, or you can just email me through OneGen. It's either way. There's a link for OneGen on there too, but I share the story about OneGen, how to build a nonprofit. I've coached a couple nonprofits, and help startups, things like that. So
he's such an encourager too. So he's very good at what he does.
Oh, we can tell.
I don't know a lot, but I've learned. I don't know.
We're old. We
As
get
you
wisdom now.
Yeah. I mean, I just turned 63, so I
I turned
realized
60.
I don't know a whole lot, but I have learned a lot, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? So it's like, and I think there's a lot of people with great ideas. And so if I can help them birth that idea and give them some direction, I would love to do that. And this is how you see me now is pretty much how I am. I really don't have an agenda to coach people. I want to know what's your pain point, and I want to deal with that. And once we fix your pain point, then if you don't need me, that's cool. I'm good.
But I appreciate
I'm always
you
around.
asking too.
But thank you for
it's
asking.
just getting ready to get launched. So we appreciate
Oh,
that.
like, that's exciting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, guys,
I'll pick your brains about that too. You know, I'll be like, hey,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Love to.
Love to. Well, Chris and Elaine, thank you so much for sharing your story and the
Thank
incredible
you.
work that OneGenAway is doing here in Middle Tennessee. Your passion and your commitment, it really is amazing, and it reminds us all that we have the power to make a difference in our communities. We just have to take that initiative.
Yeah.
that's true.
We've loved having you guys on the show.
Aw,
Thank you so much.
We've enjoyed it.
Yeah, we've had a blast,
We've had
man.
a great time. It's
anytime.
great to get to meet you. Now we need to have dinner together.
Yes.
That's right.
We will.
Let's
We
do it.
will.
All right. Thanks,
Absolutely.
guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Well, to our listeners, if you're inspired by Chris and Elaine's story, we encourage you to get involved, donate, volunteer, and simply spread the word. You never know who might be motivated to help after hearing about this incredible mission.
As always, thank you for tuning in to You Matter Nashville. Remember, you matter, and so does every individual who calls this community home. Until next time, take care and keep spreading the love. And that brings us to the end of another episode of You Matter Nashville.
We hope today's show has left you feeling as uplifted and inspired as we are. Remember, the spirit of Nashville lives in all of us, and every small act of kindness echoes throughout the community.
A huge thank you for listening and even being a part of our You Matter community. If you love this episode, please share with friends and leave us a 5-star review. It helps us reach more listeners and spread the love.
And if you know anyone that is looking to make a move to Middle Tennessee area, we are real estate professionals known as the Hoover Team, and we would be honored to serve them with excellence.
Until next time, keep making a difference, Nashville. You matter more than you know.